I get the obvious, like, accidental Emma Sky thing, right? I get that. I get that he's in the thing while cooling down and he wakes up probably due to the cold temperature, but
Now we'll have to face Piers on the stand. I'm not sure if I should be surprised or not. One thing's for sure, he won't be an easy adversary.
so do you think Pierce did it?
It's too early to say anything at this point. But I do think he's hiding something. Nick! Why don't you pin everything on Soren, loser, back there? Looks like Larry hasn't given up on Ellen. The Pierce guy is a real bad guy. The Soren and my Ellie will live happily ever after together. Larry, it's not the kind of thing a decent human being says.
Shame on you, Larry.
Oh, boo-hoo. You think I don't know? I know I have to give up on my Ellie. But Nick, promise you'll make her happy. She deserves a happily ever after. I'm sure Soren will make her happy once all of this is said and done. Trial's about to resume, Mr. Wright. All right, you ready, Maya?
Yep, let's go.
I'll be rooting for you, Nick.
This court is now back in session. Witness, please take to the stand. By the way, Soren's breakdown just kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't even do a voice for it. Please state your name and occupation. My name is Pierce Nicody. I am the Sprocket family butler.
Let's get straight to the point, Mr. Nicody. Someone tore a page out of Mr. Sprocket's notebook to manipulate his memories. And that person was you, wasn't it?
That is correct. What about it?
See, he's not even hiding it. Well, that was easy. So why did you do it? Why did you tamper with Mr. Sprocket's notebook?
Please allow me to explain. It pains me to do this, but I will tell you the truth.
It pains you?
That is correct. For my testimony will go against Master Soren's wishes.
Soren's wishes? What is he talking about?
I rushed to the Vista deck, but the crime had already been committed. I saw Miss Ellen and Gloomsbury collapsed, and Master Soren was writing in his notebook. Master Soren said to me, I'll take the blame for the murder, so please take care of Ellen. But I went against his order. I tore the page out of his notebook and hit the body.
Wait a second.
Wait, he hit the body?
Yeah? Kind of.
I know he said he hit the body, but like, something's weird about that. Okay, go on.
Well, Mr. Sprocket was writing in his notebook at the time. Could it be? It was meant to be a confession, an admission he'd killed Gloomsbury himself. He wrote that message to take the blame for Miss Wyatt?
That is correct. Master Soren did hit Gloomsbury with the timekeeper to save Miss Ellen.
Then Mr. Sprocket was the culprit after all.
However, that blow did not kill Gloomsbury.
That line right there is gonna screw him over.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't even read that. That makes sense. Mr. Sprocket's injury wouldn't allow him to put much force into it.
Enraged, Gloomsbury tried to attack Master Sword, who was already seriously wounded. But just in the nick of time, Miss Ellen hit Gloomsbury from behind. But no, that makes no sense. It's the side. Strong blow to the head. One concussion was found in the back of the head and one on the side.
It doesn't specify which one was the fatal one.
But they said the same weapon. And finished him off, it would seem.
So the one who inflicted the fatal blow was the defendant.
Yes, that is correct.
Something tells me Edgeworth told him to say it like that. Because Edgeworth would know you can, like... I know Edgeworth is more for the truth now, but, like... It's weird that Pierce is like, oh, yeah, this is the order of event, and it just magically goes right to the defendant.
But Master Soren tried to take all the blame onto himself. No way. This is pretty bad, Nick.
No kidding. Pretty bad is an understatement. Well, well, Mr. Wright. It seems your decision to call for Mr. Nakoti has backfired. For the true culprit behind this case remains the defendant, Ellen White. Could this get any worse? Pierce was involved in the cover-up plot, and I bet he still has something to hide.
Hold it!
I want to press this one. So Mr. Sprocket wrote a note of confession in order to take the blame for Miss White.
Yes. The notebook is the only form of memory Master Soren has. To understand what his actions meant, I trust. What did it mean, Nick?
To Soren, everything in that notebook is true. So Soren tried to take the blame by altering his own memories to make him think he did it.
No. Master Soren truly loves Miss Ellen. It must have been love that made him do it.
Hold it!
Mr. Nakoti, could you please tell this court about that in more detail?
That, you say? Which part do you mean, Mr. Wright? Could you be more specific?
Oh, alright. Hiding the body.
Hiding the body.
100%. Just tell me more about hiding the body.
Very well. After saying he would take the blame, Master Soren passed out. That's when I hit the body. I quickly took the lift down to the hold, where I hid Bloomsbury's still warm body in the spare peggable lantern.
So you hid the body, not the defendant.
To think Mr. Butts would move the lantern containing the body to the reception hall. Well, I did not see that coming.
I don't blame you. Not even Larry can predict what Larry will do next. Maybe to take another look at the lantern in evidence.
Yes.
100%. Yes, please.
Very well. Please add that statement to your testimony, Mr. Nakoti. Still warm. This would be the lantern.
Yeah, I just went the wrong way.
Objection!
Could it be? Is that what happened? If what I'm thinking is true, then maybe I can prove neither Ellen nor Soren did the deed. Mr. Nakoti, you said the body was still warm when you hit it, correct? So then, what if Mr. Gloomsbury was still alive when you put his body inside the lantern?
What? What?
That's preposterous. Actually, this shows that the victim might have still been alive while inside the lantern.
I'm afraid you'll have to point out which part you're talking about, Mr. Wright.
This part here shows that the victim might have still been alive inside the lantern.
Take that!
As you can see, the back end of the lantern's door. There's blood on the wheel handle.
Objection!
That blood stain must have gotten there when the witness put the body inside the lantern. There's no way that the victim drew his last breath while he was in the lantern. I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. For you see, in putting the lantern back together, the police inadvertently placed the inside handle on the outside, and vice versa. In other words, the wheel handles got swapped.
Oh my, so they got swapped?
Yes, they got swapped. What? But that's ridiculous. Not at all. If you compare the other male peggable in the reception hall, it's quite obvious the wheel handles were attached backwards. The detective in charge of the restoration will see me in my office later. Sorry, Emma, and good luck.
In that case, what does the bloodstain on the wheel handle mean?
Bloodstain didn't get there by chance. When the victim was put inside the lantern, he was only unconscious, not dead. When he regained conscious, he probably tried to get out of the lantern. So he grasped the inner wheel handle, and that's when the blood got on it. This proves that the victim was still alive when he was inside the lantern.
At the time, I was completely convinced Bloomsbury was dead. Had I checked more carefully, he might have survived.
Unfortunately, to be sure, but not significant enough to change the trial's outcome. Again, I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. And that has a very significant impact on this case. The victim was struck by the defendant, then died from his injuries sometime later. There's nothing more to it.
Objection!
That's where you're wrong. Let's take another look at Mr. Gloomsbury's autopsy report, shall we? Please focus on the description of his injuries. It says, one contusion was found on the back of the head and one on the side. Yes, the one Mr. Sprocket gave him and the one Miss White delivered to finish him off. No, the defense would like to submit a different interpretation.
A different interpretation?
The victim was knocked unconscious by the first blow and was put into the lantern.
And what about the lethal blow by the defendant that the witness talked about?
Yes, well, that didn't happen. After some time, when the victim regained consciousness and tried to get out of the lantern. That's when he received the second blow that finished him off.
Taking into account the fact that the victim was alive for the period after the first hit, and that he did receive a second blow to the head, it does seem entirely possible.
Yes, as long as the first blow didn't kill the victim instantly, then there's a possibility that someone other than Mr. Sprocket or Miss White delivered the fatal blow.
Objection!
That's all you've got. Even if there wasn't a time lag between the two blows, the prosecution's position doesn't change. What? What do you mean? It's elementary, Mr. Wright. After a reception, when the defendant was cleaning up the reception hall,
She killed them then.
the victim, who was supposed to be dead, suddenly came out of the lantern. But he fell backwards onto the lantern. Sir! He couldn't have hit him on the back or the side of the head in that instance. The victim, who was supposed to be dead, suddenly came out of the lantern. The defendant grabbed the murder weapon, which was right there, and finished him off.
That theory sounds awfully familiar.
Of course it does, Your Honor, because it's exactly what I proposed at the very start. The second blow was inflicted by the defendant after all.
I see. It seems the tangle of mysteries has unraveled into a single thread.
Objection!
Nope. But as long as there's a possibility that the fatal blow was delivered by a third person, then we must continue the deliberations. Give it up, Mr. Wright. Unless you have something to prove the presence of your precious third person.
Okay, Nick, just relax. You can do this. Come on now. Take some deep breaths.
Good idea. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. That'll be $200. Let's go.
There. Don't you feel better already?
Maya's right. I should calm down and get my focus back and go over everything again. Then hopefully, I'll be able to find something to prove there was a third person. Let's see. First, why did Gloomsbury attack Ellen?
Because he was tired of taking the blame for the accident?
There's something about that line of reasoning just doesn't feel quite right to me.
No? How come?
Well, if it's just a personal vendetta, he had already stabbed Soren. So why then was he so determined to go after Ellen?
You're right. This whole thing feels too premeditated for a crime of passion.
But Gloomsbury didn't seem to have a personal grudge against Ellen. Gloomsbury didn't have a personal reason to attack Ellen, then. You've taken long enough, Mr. Wright. Now is time for some action. What proof do you have that there was a third person involved? Alright, I'll show you. I'm not completely sure of what I'm doing yet, but it looks like I'm out of time. This piece of evidence proves the involvement of a third person. It could be this. Because Gloomsbury's not Gloomsbury's left-handed.
Yeah.
Take that!
I get it now. Now I see why this note bothered me so much when I first saw it. It looked like a note outlining the murder plot. Your Honor, please take a look at this note.
This is the victim's murder plan, right?
It's definitely a murder plan. But what if Mrs. Gloomsbury didn't write the note himself?
What?
This is how you intend to conjure up your mysterious third party, Mr. Wright? Can you even prove that the note wasn't written by the victim? Yes, we can. Yes. Yes, I can.
Very well then. Please present your evidence, Mr. Wright.
This evidence proves the victim didn't write the note. It's a candelabra because it's the left-handed fingerprints, right?
Yeah.
Take that!
This is a weapon Mr. Gloomsbury used to stab Mr. Sprocket. I was wondering what you'd pull out this time. Dare I ask what could possibly have to do with the note? Mr. Gloomsbury's prints were found on this candelabra. And the prints were from his left hand.
So that means the victim. That makes the victim left-handed, correct?
Exactly, Your Honor. The police looked into it too and confirmed as much. Now take a look at the smudged writing in this note. Notice how the smudging only starts from the middle of each preceding line. Had this been written by a lefty, the writing would be smudged from the far left end. This means whoever wrote this note was definitely right-handed. Shut up, Earl.
I'm left-handed, and like, your hand starts off the paper.
Yeah, but you'd still, like, if your hand was coming, it would smudge to the left. It would still smudge to the left side.
Yeah, but whoever wrote this was sweaty as fuck.
No, I've smudged my writing before, and it was not my hand was dry. So it's the ink is still wet. That's why it could get messed up. In other words, somebody other than the victim wrote this note.
What? But if someone other than Mr. Gloomsbury wrote it, then what does that note mean?
Mr. Gloomsbury followed this note to the letter when he attacked Miss Wyatt. So clearly this note isn't a murder plan written by Mr. Gloomsbury, but rather, these are instructions to kill Miss Wyatt issued by someone else.
Objection!
If it wasn't a victim who wrote these so-called instructions, then who wrote it? Most of the people involved are right-handed, you know.
He is correct. The majority of the family and their employees who were on that airship are indeed right-handed. I must say that it's very rough and slipshod conjecture you proposed.
I have to admit, I haven't figured out who wrote it yet.
Leave it to Mr. Edgeworth to go for the juggler.
The culprit who ordered Gloomsbury to attack Ellen. What could their motive have been?
It doesn't seem very likely Ellen did anything to incur anybody's wrath, right?
Right. Not likely, anyway. In that case, it has to be about Soren.
If somebody were to hold a grudge against Soren, what would it be about?
That accident, I'd guess.
Oh shit, I just realized that the accident flips. If Soren actually caused it and he wrote it in a journal and he saw it.
Bam, bam, bam. Could understand if Gloomsbury felt resentful about having to take the blame.
But the one who lost the most in that accident was Soren's sister. She lost her life after all. Soren suffered too, of course. He was crushed by losing somebody so precious to him.
Somebody precious, huh? Soren's sister. Wait, there's one more person. Someone else who must hold a grudge against Soren.
Did you figure something out?
It's Piers. Piers knew about the accident. Piers has her stopwatch, her pocket watch. It's like Piers has to be the fiance. That has to be it. And Soren took away the love of his life.
That's the plan.
That's the motive. I think so. I think that somebody else used Gloomsbury to try and get revenge against Soren.
Did you say somebody tried to get revenge against Mr. Sprocket, Mr. Wright?
The person who manipulated and used Mr. Gloomsbury was Selena's fiance.
His fiance.
The person who used Mr. Gloomsbury to try to get revenge on Mr. Sprocket and then finished Mr. Gloomsbury off to silence him was the man dear to Miss Sprocket's older sister, Selena Sprocket's fiance. Not that I'm positive, but it's clearly possible. Certainly possible. This fiance could have made Gloomsbury attack Ellen to get his revenge on Soren. What?
Her fiance? Order in the court. Order, I say. Yes, it does seem quite believable that Miss Selena Sprocket's fiancé would bear a grudge against Mr. Sprocket for his role in the accident.
Exactly, Your Honor. Maybe her fiancé was trying to murder Miss Wyatt in order to make Mr. Sprocket experience the same pain he'd felt.
Objection!
Miss Sprocket's fiancé was a surgeon, if memory serves. But the only people who attended the reception were family and staff members. That may be, but then that just means that Miss Sprocket's fiancé must have been among those who attended.
What? Really?
Of course. Otherwise, how could he have killed Gloomsbury?
Oh, I see what you're doing. This is just another giant bluff, isn't it?
Nah, not a bluff. This is 100% authentic deduction. All right, I'll bite. Who exactly do you claim this fiancé to be?
Yes, I would like to know as well. Are you sure you're gonna be okay, Nick?
Maybe? When it comes to suspicious people, there's only one person on my list. I need to find something that connects him to Selena. We got that.
We had it a month ago.
This will help us identify Miss Sprocket's fiancé.
Take that!
Photo.
Please take a look at this photo, Your Honor.
That photo.
Did you see him shake a moment? He's like, uh-oh. He's like, uh-oh. Notice Miss Sprocket's pocket watch. Haven't we seen it somewhere before?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, now that you mention it, I do feel like I've seen it somewhere before.
I believe we've all seen it. Right here in this very courtroom. Ugh, impossible. That's right. The pocket watch in this photo. It's the same pocket watch Mr. Cody has on him right now.
What?
This is clear proof of a strong connection between Pierce Nicody and Selena Sprocket. No.
Well, Mr. Nicody, is this true?
Mr. Nicody, you were the one engaged to Selena Sprocket. That pocket watch, you keep it as a memento of her, don't you? Mr. Nicody, you plan to rob Mr. Sprocket of his loved one. To make him feel the same pain as you. Isn't that right? But Mr. Sprocket managed to fight back and knocked Mr. Gloomsbury unconscious. You thought Mr. Gloomsbury was dead and hid his body in a lantern. But then you noticed Mr. Gloomsbury regained consciousness. And so you finished him off to prevent your plan from being exposed. This is the defense's take on what really happened in the murder case.
Mr. Wright, does this mean you wish to officially accuse this witness of the murder of Dumas Gloomsbury?
The defense accused Mr. Cody of the murder. 100% we do.
No disagreements
The
here.
defense indicts Pierce Nicody on the charge of murdering Dumas Gloomsbury.
Oh my. Mr. Nicody, would you care to respond? Man, this lawyer just yaps on and on and on. As you guessed, this watch is a memento of Selena. It stopped working at the time of the accident, though.
You've been using it to tell time this whole time. What the heck?
He's dropping a charade, that's why. No, I'm changing the voice.
Then you really are.
Yes, I was Selena's fiance, and not just her fiance. But the surgeon beside her deathbed.
Objection!
Mr. Nakoti, why didn't you tell me any of this before?
Shut it, you useless prosecutor.
Oh!
I thought you could be of use, but apparently this case was too much for you.
What did you say?
If your office hadn't stuck its nose all up in this, I could have swept it under the rug. Not only did you interfere with the case, but you even let me fall under suspicion.
That's because you kept trying to cover things up on the sly.
Ugh.
Covering things up wasn't your only involvement. The only person who had motive to use the victim to try to kill Miss Wyatt was you. He's mad now.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Surgeon. Malignant tumors. There are malignant tumors in this courtroom. Lesions oozing with false charges. Scalpel. The tumors are one idiotic lawyer and one useless prosecutor. After the truth is revealed, I'll have both of you incised from the legal world.
I'd like to see you try.
With the power of the Sprocket family, it'd be a cinch. I will now begin the operation. Well, what in the world happened to Mr. Nakoti?
Looks like he's finally showing his true colors.
Nick, look what he did to that shoulder mech.
Is it a bomb?
Quit your yapping before I suture your chatty lips shut. It's like he's a completely different person.
Sure looks like it, huh? We can't let our guards down now. Mr. Nakoti, it's finally time for you to testify to the truth.
It seems we're entering the final act at last. Witness your testimony, please. Here we go.
Do you see the title? He's pleading the fifth. Mr. Nakoti, why didn't you say anything? Ah! He just took a picture of me or something.
You want me to voluntarily testify, hoping I will make a slip of the tongue? But a very impressive plan or brain, I might add. He's taking an X-ray in the courtroom, man. He could give us cancer.
Ah, that was uncalled
Mind you, it would
for.
take like 500 X-rays to do it, but if you want to know something, you ask the question. I will answer, but I have no intention of making any voluntary statements of my own. What's he trying to do, Nick?
He's using the silent treatment as a strategy to avoid getting tripped up. Clever guy. No more lies, Mr. Nakoti. You will tell us nothing but the truth from now on. Ugh. What do you think you're doing?
It's gonna be his. I love how the frills show up. No one asked for you to speak. Just keep quiet over there and play with your frills.
How dare you?
Oh, please tell me he gets the judge. Well, this is a rather unconventional situation, but please proceed, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just press.
Hold it!
If you want to speak voluntarily, then I guess I'll have to ask him something. What questions should I ask?
Actions on day.
Well, I think
Okay, that works
grudge. You've been nursing a grudge against Mr. Sprocket over the loss of your fiancé. Isn't that right?
I'd be lying if I said I felt no resentment whatsoever. But Master Soren didn't cause that accident on purpose. Master Soren himself has suffered greatly.
But you quit being a surgeon and found a way to get even closer to this Mr. Sprocket. Wasn't that so you could carry out your revenge on him?
Don't insult me. Supporting Master Soren and Sprocket Aviation was my life with my life's work. Is my penance for not being able to save Selena. This is how I honor her. I feel your devotion as both a fiancé and as a surgeon. Your statement breaks my heart. I never thought of exacting revenge on Master Soren.
Never thought of it, huh? Guess you'll probably take that with a pound of salt. We'll just add statements.
Yeah.
No harm in adding them. Have to find an opening somehow.
Hold it!
On the day of the incident, you were constantly surrounded by your subordinates. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. I was in someone's line of sight at all times. After all, I was busy taking care of every detail of the event. Mr. Edgeworth, I believe your investigation backs up my claim.
I've got statements that said groups of his subordinates were working with him in rotation. So he was always with someone.
As the prosecutor just said, I couldn't even get close to the lantern containing Bloomsbury by myself. That's the photo.
What are you doing right here, buddy?
Let alone kill him.
Pierce didn't have a chance to get close to the victim alone, huh?
Yes, please.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to have that added to the testimony.
Very well. I was always in the company of others. I didn't have an opportunity to murder Bloomsbury.
Objection!
Mr. Nakoti testifies that he is always with someone at the time of the incident and never had a moment alone to commit the crime.
Yes, and the police investigation backs that statement up, doesn't it?
But there was an opportunity, in fact. One and only one. A moment where Mr. Nakoti could have killed Mr. Gloomsbury without anyone noticing.
What?
The one thing that made that moment possible is shown here in this photograph.
With all those people watching, I couldn't have possibly committed murder. Do not believe him, Your Honor. This lawyer is a malignant tumor. He wants to infect this judicial body with... I didn't read that
Mr.
word. I'll go
Nakoti.
back. With... with virulent accusations.
Mr. Nakoti, I would ask that you keep quiet this time. We need to evaluate the defense's claim. And your yammering only serves to throw further suspicion your way. Mr. Wright, let's see this one thing you mentioned. But be warned. This had better not be one of your offhanded claims. Who do you think you're talking to, Mr. Edgeworth?
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please point out for us the one thing that made the moment of the murder possible.
That one moment it was possible was Mr. Cody tried to kill Mr. Gloomsbury. This one thing that made a single moment possible is this.
Take that!
The one thing that made the moment of the murder possible is this mood fog that engulfed the entire reception hall. It is under the cover of this fog that Mr. Nakoti murdered the victim.
What?
Mr. Nakoti was standing right next to the lantern that Mr. Gloomsbury was in. This was the only moment the murder could have been committed without being seen.
Objection!
But that means he knew about the switch.
I can accept that there was a moment when the witness was obscured from the others by fog. But Earl, what you're forgetting is, like, it doesn't matter, like, if he knew they were switched. He would see it. He would see that door starting to swing open, and he'd be like, "Wait a minute, what are you doing here?" Grab the thing, hit. I can accept that there was a moment when the witness was obscured from the others by fog. But that doesn't prove Mr. Nakoti killed the victim at that very moment. If you can't prove the crime was committed during the reception, the trial ends here. I was caught up in finding a foothold that I forgot to think that far ahead.
Well done, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time to call this trial's time of death.
Well, Mr. Wright, can you prove the murder happened during the reception?
Don't even bother. This claim is dead on arrival. Victory is within your grasp, prosecutor.
Quiet, witness. I have no interest in victory. All I care about is the truth. One that we can only arrive at through further deliberation. Edgeworth!
Enough of this, Your Honor. This trial is over. No, Mr. Nakoti, that is for me to decide. Mr. Wright, can you prove it? Can you prove that the murder was committed during the wedding reception? Why is there no verdict yet? The lawyer's obviously out of answers. The prosecutor, the judge, they're all infected.
Still
Their
you.
malignant stupidity is so advanced, not even the best surgeons can save them. In fact, not even a brain transplant could cure them. This court is infected with idiocy. It's a pandemic.
Objection!
Mr. Nakoti, that's enough already.
Finally ready to give up, are you?
No, just the opposite, actually. I'll prove the murder was committed during the reception. By you.
You'll prove it? Can you really, Mr. Wright?
Yes, I can, Your Honor. To be honest, I don't know exactly how I'll do it just yet. But if I want to get the truth Edwards was talking about, I'll just have to find that way.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Let's have your proof. Enough of this foolishness. He's just bluffing. Stop him from speaking, Your Honor. I will do nothing of the sort. You are just a district court judge. The power of the Sprocket family, all. Enough of your foolishness, Mr. Nakoti. This judicial body will not succumb to the influence of money or power. Ugh.
Now then, let's hear it, Mr. Wright. Let's hear your truth. Think, Phoenix. Remember everything you've learned so far. You can do this. You can find the definitive evidence that will lead us to the truth. Time for the revisualization. Think, Phoenix. How can I prove the murder took place during the wedding reception? Pierce committed the murder during the reception, then he had to have used... He would have to use the murder weapon.
It would be the murder weapon.
The weapon was used to strike the victim twice. According to autopsy report, the victim was hit with the same object both times. So without a doubt, Pierce used it to commit the murder.
Oh wait, I think I'm getting it.
The weapon used to conclude Bloomsbury was...
It was a timekeeper. I just clicked in on what they were getting at.
Pierce struck the victim during that one single moment. Then he must have used a timekeeper. Come to think of it, wasn't it also used for something else during the reception? During the reception, the timekeeper was also used for the first startup of love.
Yeah.
That's right, the timekeeper had been activated during the reception. If we activate the timekeeper again now and find any trace evidence of the murder, that would be conclusive proof that Bloomsbury was killed during the reception.
And they have to open it, and the maid was talking about it. So we just need the key and the gear.
We need Ellen back. We need her pendant. We have the key in our possession. A special ceremony took place during the reception in question.
What kind of special ceremony?
It was called the first startup of love. Apparently, the couple activated a timekeeper for the first time during it.
Does that mean the timekeeper here in evidence isn't activated in the moment? And what would happen if we were to activate it?
Why don't we see for ourselves? It would give us a chance to examine it. And while we're at it, we might just find some conclusive evidence.
What? No, you can't activate it. Mr. Nakoti, keep quiet or I'll have you thrown out of court. By the way, Mr. Wright, this is supposed to be a time machine, right? We aren't going to travel back in time to the Stone Age or anything, are we? Wouldn't that be a twist if we go meet the other...
I don't think we have to worry too much about that, Your Honor.
What if it just starts a sequel of Runosuke Naruhodo? Like an offshoot? You'd be like, shit, they weren't bluffing. Very well. Go ahead and start up the timekeeper. Do you know how, Nick?
I think so. Maybe. The bride and groom each had a symbol of their love, and when they put them together... Oh yeah. Let's see. Think about the symbol of the groom's love. Must be the timekeeper itself. What symbol of the bride's love would fit together with the timekeeper? Why no, that has to be it.
Mr. Wright, are you ready to activate the time machine now?
Yes, Your Honor. The symbol of the bride's love that was necessary for activating the timekeeper is...
Take that!
The pendant.
Miss Wyatt's pendant. Is the symbol of the bride's love that is necessary for activating the timekeeper.
What? And does that mean you could start it up with Miss Wyatt's pendant?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Very well. Please try it now, Mr. Wright.
Okay, here I go. First, I have to figure out where the pendant goes. Oh, it's this spot right next to it. hole looks like a good spot. Try setting a pendant in here. Fits. This must be the right spot. Now I have to find a place to insert the key. Does it just go in it? Oh, yeah, there's just a hole in the middle of the pendant.
And there it goes.
Oh, snap. There it is.
He's fucked.
It worked. The timekeeper's been activated. All I have to do is find proof of the crime committed during. I wonder
if there's a clock.
I wonder if there's a blood stain right here. I think I found it. Conclusive evidence that the murder was committed during a wedding reception.
There's a clock on it too, so I mean he broke the clock at the same time.
Just as I suspected, there's evidence of the murder inside the timekeeper, Mr. Nakoti. The timekeeper was only activated and opened during the wedding reception, right?
No, stop!
So that means this is conclusive proof that the crime was committed during the reception.
Act.
After you killed the victim and under the cover of the fog, you closed the timekeeper to hide the bloodstain, didn't you? Oh, it's updating, so that means is there still going to be something else to do? Oh,
Probably some...
I'm concerned.
Yeah, there's something extra. No, you're wrong. Ellen killed Bloomsbury. It wasn't me, I tell you.
Objection!
Give it up, Mr. Nakoti. How could the defendant, who was in the middle of pledging her love, have possibly committed the murder while everyone was watching her?
It was the family, yes. The family members conspired together to kill him.
Objection!
There's no way you can talk your way out of this, Mr. Nakoti. During the reception, during that one dreamlike moment, the only person who could have used the timekeeper to beat the victim to death. And that one person was you, Piers Nakoti. Break down, break down, break down, break down, break down.
Yeah. No, this isn't over yet. I won't give up. No, I cut the artery. This stupid thing. We must stop the bleeding now. Give me forceps. Forceps, I said. Hey, where is everyone? Fine, I'll manage this alone. I'll do it all by myself. I can fix anything, repair anything. You have to get better. You have to live. You must. I would have been able to save her. If only I hadn't listened to her. If only I had treated her first. If only that thorn hadn't been there. Ugh! Selena! No. That's kind of a sad breakdown if you think about it.
Yeah. It's very, very sad. He just collapses to the ground.
Witness, are you finally ready to tell us the truth? It's just as the lawyer deduced.
So it's all a revenge scheme against Soren Sprocket.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to lose someone you love right in front of you? Selena's condition was clearly more critical than Soren's, but in spite of that, she said,
Please help Soren. Miss Sprocket's last words. So that's what she really meant by those words.
I was able to grant her wish, but at the price of her life.
So you got a job with Sprocket Aviation and waited for your chance to get revenge. You got close to Mr. Bloomsbury and hatched his plot. Is that right?
Bloomsbury already bore a grudge against Soren. So when I tempted him with an even better position, he immediately took the bait.
He was your accomplice, someone who shared the same goal as you. Why was it necessary for you to kill him?
I didn't expect Soren to strike Bloomsbury on the Vista deck. And I certainly never imagined he'd make his way there along the outside wall.
So he did go along the outside wall. So he actually did that. Soren's love is the real deal after all.
My plan had been compromised, so for the time being, I hid his body in the lantern and tried to think of my next move.
And then Mr. Bloomsbury came to during the second wedding reception.
As soon as I saw Bloomsbury, I instantly hit upon the idea to pin the blame on Bloomsbury's murder on Ellen.
You tried to break up the couple by making the bride out to be a murderer. How despicable.
Soren was getting the company and a wedding. Both things that were supposed to be Selena's. He took every happiness from her. Who's the despicable one here?
Do you think what you did would make her happy?
I know it wouldn't. But I couldn't just stand by watching Soren enjoy his happiness. I was going to have Soren taste the same pain I had, and then take over Sprocket Aviation. I would take back from him all of the happiness that was rightfully Selena's. Time stopped for me the day I lost her. Just like this pocket watch of hers.
Ellen!
Pierce!
Miss Wyatt?
I believe Selena would have said, "Leave this ill will behind. Your time is yours to live." It's too late for me. Time will never advance for me ever again. What? It can't be.
It's moving!
I see now, Selena. What I did was wrong. I see no further need to continue this trial. Bailiff, please take Mr. Nicoti away.
Pierce Nicoti, another inconsolable time traveler, who lived in time that stood still.
Now then, I must render my verdict regarding the defendant. Your Honor, before you give your ruling, would you please allow me a moment? Very well. Ellen, there is something I need to say to you. Yes, Soren? I put you through something truly horrible. This whole thing happened all because of me. I would understand if you wanted to call off our marriage. What?
I kind of figured that's what he was about to mention.
Of course not. I've never once thought that. If you stay with me, you'll only face even more trying times in the future. What do you mean? The truth of this incident and the car accident before it. I'm going to tell the public everything. expect the company's reputation will suffer, and I'll take a lot of criticism. But I feel I can only really start over once I get everything out in the open.
Everything will be fine. Don't you worry, Soren.
All right. After all that's happened, I might not have the right to ask you this, but... Well, how should I say this? Maybe I'll just... A life with me probably won't be very easy, but... Will you marry me?
How adorable.
Yes, of course. Your Honor, thank you for this time. Please continue with your ruling. Very well, but first I have one question. Do the two of you pledge your eternal love for each other to the goddess of justice, Tiamat? I do, Your Honor. I do.
He's gonna pronounce a man and wife right here.
That's amazing. He's a judge, technically. Does the prosecution or the defense have any objection?
Well done, Your Honor. No objections here. Defense has no objections.
No objections. Fuck.
You're doing so good today.
I know.
One final mess up from Earl. Let's go.
I'm fucking done. Good night, everybody.
The defense has no objections either, Your Honor.
This court finds the defendant, Ellen White. No, that's not right. This court finds the defendant, Ellen Sprocket. Please throw the bouquet. Very rare to see Maya there, though. This court is adjourned. I don't want to think about that old bag. I've erased her out of my memory.
Ellen, Soren, congratulations.
Mr. Wright, I can't thank you enough. If you hadn't exposed the truth, Soren and I wouldn't. We wouldn't.
Now you can finally start a new life together, right?
Oh, thank you.
Just this spot right here. His blank stare and her just bawling her eyes out.
Mr. Wright, we'll be holding our real wedding ceremony in the near future. Would you do us the honor of coming to it? I want you to witness our fresh start.
Of course. I wouldn't miss it for the world. And Ellen, this time, it'll finally be a happily ever after, right?
Oh, yes.
The two of you have persevered and overcome this trial together. Now, no matter what obstacles come your way, I'm sure you'll be able to handle them. And there's another thing I'm sure of, too. This person will always be watching over the two of you.
The sister.
Take that!
Selena, yes. I think you're right. And we promise to live life to the fullest. For Selena's sake, too. Right, Soren? That's right. Well, we better be on our way. Yes, my love.
Aww. Wow. The old threshold carry, huh? Way to show off.
We'll be seeing you. Goodbye for now.
I was looking forward to that wedding.
Hold on tight, Ellen. You better believe I will. I'm never letting you go. I forgot about that.
There they go.
You're not thinking of going to that wedding by yourself, are you, boss?
We know who that is. You're taking us too, right? Oh boy, I bet there's gonna be all kinds of fancy food there.
Athena, are you supposed to be here, or did you sneak over here and Trucy's gonna come running in, snatching you again? Athena, when did you get here?
Just now, I would have been here to cheer you guys earlier, but Juicy never gave me a chance to slip away.
You're gonna be even bigger trouble with her later.
He's gonna use an actual knife, apparently.
Speaking of the wedding, maybe I should ask them to invite Edgeworth.
Mr. Edgeworth, really? But he thought Ellen was guilty all the way to the end.
That may be true, but if he hadn't stood up for us when he did, the trial probably would have ended right there.
You mean Mr. Edgeworth gave us that chance?
Maybe. So knowing him, I doubt he'd ever tell it, even if I asked.
Well, if that's how you feel about it, Nick, then why not try to get him invited? Hey, Maya. Have you ever tried to catch a bouquet? What? No. I never have either. Fighting over a bouquet that's been tossed by the bride. Talk about a fierce competition. I'm totally stoked. I'm not sure it's really supposed to be all that competitive. I'm a pretty good jumper, so I think I got a chance.
She's definitely missing the point of the whole thing. And Larry, how did you manage to stay so quiet for so long?
Oh, he's crying. I knew immediately.
Shut up! Wishing the lady you fell in love with every happiness is what a real man does. I'm pretty sure that relationship was over before it even began, Larry. Darn it all. If only I was 10 years younger, things would have gone differently. Hands of time, why do you turn your back on me? September 30th, so 1 week later. Today is Ellen Soren's third wedding ceremony and reception.
The third one.
Yeah, because you had the original one, the second one where the murder happened, and that's this one.
Yeah.
Heard the bride and groom insisted it on being the flying chapel again. In the end, they were nice enough to invite me and Maya. And Athena kind of invited herself. They also invited Edgeworth, Emma, and even Larry. They say a third time's the charm, right? But I do hope it's happily ever after for them this time around. Still, I get the feeling it's going to be one rowdy party.
Ready when you are. Okay, here we go.
Edgeworth dreading it, I swear.
Huh? Oh.
How is Larry?
Oh, hey! Look who's next! Huh?
Nope. Run, bro.
I'm truly blessed to have you.
That was
Oh,
great.
that's cute. Thanks, Larry.